I just want to say I'm sorry. I voted for him and I thought he was going to help folks like me. Now, they done cut off my food stamps, my Medicaid, everything. I don't know how I'm going to eat or pay for my medicine. I made a mistake.
Yeah, we voted for Trump because he promised while he was campaigning like a million times that when he got into office, he was going to bring down prices, bring down grocery prices. The inflation has been high ever since COVID, and he promised he would bring that down. But it's obvious to me now that that was not true. Egg prices have skyrocketed. The bird flu is killing all the birds, and he doesn't seem to be doing anything about that. He's stopping disease communications from the disease centers in America, pulled us out of the WHO. Like, how does that help anything? And yeah, all he's been doing is taking away rights and freedoms, or trying to. He's not doing anything about the economy. So yeah, we totally regret our vote at this point. We've had a really tough time here in North Carolina. Half of my house got washed away in Hurricane Helene, and I applied for FEMA assistance and we got approved. But now Trump is canceling FEMA and emergency assistance to people. He's also canceled Medicaid for my children. I know they said they put a halt on his freezing of the funds, but the Medicaid portal is still not working, so we can't access anything for our children's health insurance.
And I told you that Donald Trump is intent on hurting all of us. I wasn't kidding. I think the millionaires and the billionaires finally got the message. So I'm going to show you a short clip from MSNBC in which there is a CEO from Citadel. His name is Ken Griffin, who also happens to be one of the mega donors for Donald Trump and also for the Republican Party in general. And I want you to listen to his words. And I want you to hear his words. And although he didn't say it, his words are dripping with regret. Regret that he actually pushed Donald Trump upon us. Listen up.
The United States was more than just a nation. It's a brand. It's a universal brand, whether it's our culture, our financial strength, our military strength. America rose beyond just being a country. It was like an aspiration for most of the world. And we're eroding that brand right now.
And I agree with him. Donald Trump has erased what makes America great. And this is absolutely devastating. Thoughts?
It is always said that you should make the right choices when you have the opportunity to do so. And that is why today I bring this video of Maga women complaining about voting for Trump. They did so because of the lies that they were given, or the lies that the Trump campaign team used to sway voters of America. So let us watch these women regretting about the status of America now and before Trump joined, or rather was sworn in. And it is total regret on their vote. Let us watch.
So there's a woman who is a conservative. She's pro-life. She voted for Trump. But she's regretting her decision because now she's pregnant with her third child. She's older. And there might be some complications where the child might not make it. And her doctor's saying, hey, you may need to go out of state to get a late-term abortion, right? So she's going through a panic. And she calls her husband to tell her what the doctor says. And her husband said, no, that's just a liberal doctor. Don't worry about it. First off, to that woman who's in this situation, I'm sorry. I hope the worst case scenario does not happen. I hope you have a healthy baby with no complications. I would never want anything to happen to you and your child. Never. I don't understand this need to listen to your husband over a medical professional. I don't get it. That's why a lot of us don't mess around with religion. That's why a lot of us don't play around with conservative men. Because I would want a husband, because everybody's like liberal husbands are, my liberal husband would immediately go, what state, how much money we need to gather, let's find a doctor, here's a directory. That is the type of partner you want. The problem with conservative men is that they think they know everything and they think they own their wives, even at the detriment of their wives. I don't understand, ma'am, how you could listen to a man that's not a doctor and politicians about your healthcare versus your doctor. And we have been telling y'all for so long, this narrative that they are pushing about late-term abortions, wrong. It's wrong. It's only if there's something wrong with the baby. It's not just for the fun of it. Because if that were the case, then that would just be murder. Trump, Greg Abbott, your husband, they are not going to help you if things ever really took a turning point. So please, think of yourself, think of your child, protect yourself, protect your child, and you make arrangements despite them.
I regret voting for Trump. You guys told me I would, and here we are, just barely over a month after he was sworn in, and I have so many reasons, so many disappointments, and I've lost so many rights as a woman already. So I guess I'll just start listing the reasons why. So many rights gone as a woman. Starting with did I lose rights? I thought I did. See, I was told so many times by the left that I lost all of my rights because I'm a woman. So I thought for sure I did, but now that I'm trying to come up with a list, it's just not coming to the tip of my tongue here. I don't know. Maybe we'll try again after I do some research.
I regret voting for Donald Trump. No, I'm just messing with y'all. I don't actually regret my vote. I do still think that he was a better option than Kamala Harris. But with that being said, I do just want to say that I do believe that he was going to be voted into office regardless of whether I voted for him or not. The more that I see things unfold, and yes, I was gone for 3 months, but I was still, paying attention to the world and following things that were happening. I do genuinely believe that he was going to be enacted into office in order for certain biblical prophecies to be fulfilled. No, I do not believe that he is the Antichrist, but I do believe that him being in power and certain events happening currently in the world, or that have happened in the last 3 or so months, or just ever since he has been into the presidential office, I do believe that those are biblical prophecies that are being fulfilled in front of our eyes, and that we need to be watching out for, and that we need to be very aware, and that we need to be very discerning. Like I said, I do not regret my vote for him because there are things that he's doing, that his cabinet is doing, that I do like and that I am in support of. But there's a lot of things that I look at and I'm like, you don't gotta be doing all this. I don't think that the Trump that we voted for is the same Trump now, or maybe not necessarily that. Let me rephrase. I do think that there was some deception, and I will be first to admit that some Christians, especially as me, we did fall for the deception. Again, he did fulfill his promise, or he did keep his promises when it comes to illegal immigration, like all the things that he was trying to do. But I am concerned with some of the things that he's currently doing. And I've always been very open in the fact that I don't like him. I don't like his personality. I don't like how he talks to people and about people. But I was always, like I always have said, I did and I do still think that he was a better option than Kamala Harris. That does not make me regret my vote, but it does throughout my 3 months being off TikTok and kind of leaving that echo chamber. I have realized the left wing, the right wing, they're all a part of the same bird. It's just controlled by the same people. Neither the liberals are better nor the conservatives are better. So at this point, like, enough with the labels. I am not a conservative. I'm a follower of Christ. Yes, my values and my opinions and morals and beliefs do more closely align with the conservative values. However, I have decided to no longer apply this label to me that I'm a Christian conservative. I am just a follower of Christ. I'm a daughter of the Most High King, because as Christians, the only thing that we can do is pray. Prayer is powerful. The only thing that we can do is pray for the people in power, that they will make the right choices and lead us. But at the same time, I have realized that our world is just going downhill. All these biblical prophecies are unfolding right in front of our eyes. And some of y'all are blind to see it, or just don't have the discernment to see it, or you don't want to admit that that is what we're seeing. Which I don't necessarily blame you for. It takes a certain spirit of discernment to see these things that are happening in the world and to say, yes, God warned us about this and we need to be watchful about them. There's a few things that come to mind. I'm not going to go super in depth about all of them. But for example, the peace treaty being signed in the Middle East, Trump receiving an award and being called the Prince of Peace. Again, there's things that I like that he was doing, like with immigration and stuff. But there are certain limits that are being crossed. And again, I do not regret my vote, but I am being more aware of the fact that regardless of who I voted for, this was going to unfold. The Bible warned us about this, and I'm not trying to fearmonger, but there are things happening right now, and there are going to be things happening in the near and distant future that are specifically outlined in the Bible. And then we're not to be scared of them, but we are to continue to do what we're supposed to do, to spread the gospel, to reach other people, to show them Christ's love and his sacrifice for us, because that is how we reach. That is why I'm no longer interested in doing these lives and apologetics, because I realize and I understand now that people don't come into my lives because they're genuinely interested in learning a different perspective. People come for the debate. Let me get a gotcha moment. Let me clip this because people will think that I'm smart or whatever. People don't always have a genuine desire to know Christ and what he did for us, for you and me. People just want the heat. People want the clicks and the bait and all of that stuff. Regardless, I veered off topic. But with that being said, keep your eyes focused on God. Keep praying, keep reading, which is also a reminder for me because I've kind of been slacking and I really, really need to hold myself accountable and people around me to keep me accountable because I need to do this. That is how we get to know God. That is how we get the discernment to understand things that are happening in our world. But regardless, my last point is whether I voted or not for Trump, I genuinely believe that he was going to be put in this position of power, and that so that biblical prophecies may be fulfilled. That's the simplest way that I can put it. But anyway, God bless y'all. Thank you for being here.
If you feel hopeless right now, I'm here to say some Trump supporters are actually regretting their votes. Estimates as high as 1 in 4 people who voted for Trump regret their votes. And on anonymous forums like Reddit, people have poured out their feelings about how much they regret voting for him. People like farmers who have been upset that they're not getting support and money is going to Argentina instead of them. Young voters who feel manipulated by the MAGA movement. And centrists who aren't necessarily committed to a political party have all expressed serious remorse over their vote. The fact that people are admitting that they're not happy with the election and the way things have been with Trump is a serious step in the right direction. As you know, in most cults, people who speak out against the leader are seriously punished. They're ostracized and experience a lot of hostility, which typically prevents them from speaking out in the first place. So although it may feel hopeless and like fascism has been descending upon us for a few years, there actually is a sign of some progress. That's why it's so important to have conversations with these people. If you're a white person and you have family who are Trump supporters, this is a really good time to try to get through to them, especially because a lot of Republicans want the Epstein files to be released, which could be used as a way to find common ground with them and convince them to not be MAGA anymore. Still have a long way to go, but the fact that his approval rating is dropping is a serious sign of good news.
Like, I was all for fucking Trump. Now with Trump passing a law that if your kid's on if you put your baby dad on child support, they're going to be getting the money from the child, like for child tax. How the fuck does that work?
The funniest thing about this is it isn't even true. These MAGA moms are all over the internet right now screaming and crying about how they regretted voting for Trump because right-wing men who love to control women have spread this rumor all over Twitter, and it's made its way here, stating that if you're a single mother, too bad. If a man pays your child support, he gets to claim your children on his taxes as dependents, even if he hasn't seen them in who knows how long. And they are breaking down. Is this how we win? Well, interestingly enough, it's kind of weird how you don't care how your vote affects anyone else, but you start crying and backtracking when it hypothetically affects you, even if it doesn't actually affect you. And it also shows how susceptible you guys are to misinformation, and how misinformation will literally sway how you think and vote. But regardless, this is how we win. We just tell these single moms out here, spread rumors. Donald Trump signed an executive order stating that you have to pay your baby daddy's car note. Donald Trump signed an executive order stating that you have